Hi ladies and gents, Pond here with another video for Rise of Empires, Ice and Fire. Thank you so much for your previous likes, comments and subscriptions to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, why not click on that button and ring the bell so you can get notifications whenever I'm dropping content on the channel. And now onto the topic of this video. It's Monday the 12th of December. It's day one on the maps of SX14, which means we have two new SX14 heroes. And I'm going to be taking my first look at them today. I've had a quick look at them earlier today while I was at work, and we have Eselfred and Ashoka. So we're going to look at Ashoka first, from the Maurya dynasty, which is an ancient Indian empire. He's a melee hero for Footmen, so melee is going to be frontal, middle, row. Footmen, obviously, he's just working with Footmen. He's got quite a nice design to him, like South Asian look, some nice green colours, bit of yellow dotted in there, and then he's bearing a sword. On his skills, skill 1 is the usual dictator skill, no change there. Skill 2, bloodthirsty Ashoka, combat skill, effective range of 3, so it makes me think you're going to want to have to put him on the front row, really. And this is giving a 60% chance to deal 210% damage 5 times, with the target being determined independently each time. So this is one of these multi-attacks that we've seen from Jade Rakshasa in S2. Of course, Scarlet Reaver from SX7, she has one of these. And Reaver's only does 150% damage each time and is only 40% chance. So 60% chance. Oh, and it requires 1 round of prep Reavers. So this is 60% chance, 210%. So that's 1,050% damage. That's a high level of damage. So it's all looking very good until you get to this end part of the description. There will be a cooldown of 1 round after casting the skill. Now, immediately, you're reducing the maximum times that this skill can activate, guaranteed at the moment, to 4 times in a battle. Because if it activates on turn 1, you're going to be in cooldown for turn 2. So, like, you know, if you get lucky with this 60% chance, it can activate on 1, 3, 5, and 7. And being cooled down on 2, 4, 6, and 8. But obviously, if you miss a turn, if you miss a couple of turns with it not activating, you could potentially see this only activating, say, 3 times in a battle. It's going to be interesting to see whether in later seasons we get a hero which does something to synergize with him so that it either reduces the chance of cooldown or removes cooldown from skills. And how many other heroes are we going to see having this cooldown? Because I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've seen a hero have this kind of terminology on a skill. So let's go on to his 3rd and 4th skills. Of course, they are defensive formation, the extra 50% resistance, offensive formation, the extra 50% might. Skill 5, War of Kalinga, combat skill, effective range of 3 again. And this is going to target 2 enemy squads, 65% chance, so very good chances with these 2 skills, to deal 468% damage to 2 random enemy squads. So that's 936% damage. So again, it's a high level of damage within the valid range, and make the skill damage of 2 random enemy squads minus 30%, lasting 1 round. So we've seen these damage debuffs for opponents many times. 2 times minus 30% is pretty standard. It's nothing massive. If it was 2 times minus 50 or maybe minus 60, then we'd be potentially talking next level. But for me, I think this is pretty standard, even if it is doing a nice amount of damage in the first place. And then again, there will be a cooldown of 1 round after casting this skill. So this hero is basically restricted to only casting his skills, his key skills, 4 times in a battle, by the looks of it. Now let's see what else he's got under the hood. So skill 6 is Awaken. It's extra damage. So you quite often see extra damage on a melee hero, like Arthur has it, Arslan has it. So I'm not massively surprised. Footman, Discipline, skill 7, extra might as well, because he's doing all this damage. And then skill 8 is a Compassionate Heart. It's a prep skill, so activating pre-round. In battles, for every 5 combat skills cast by your side, Ashoka will take minus 50% damage. So nice. That's a nice damage mitigation for him, lasting 1 round, Meanwhile, restores some troop power for 2 random squads of yours, and the recovery rate is 186%. So that's very nice. You're looking at probably about 7,000 troops healing per squad with that. So like basically 14,000 troops each time. The key to this is how many times in the battle are you going to be doing 5 combat skills. Now, and this again restricts who you're going to be pairing him with, because immediately in my mind, like, Reva does a lot of combat skills because her second skill is 100%, plus she has an okay 5th skill with combat skill. Other like Footmen heroes, for instance, Pepin, all 3 of his skills are combat skills, I believe. Valkyrie does guaranteed combat skill on her skill 2. Army Breaker has 3 combat skills if you were wanting to do like a mixed legion potentially, because there's no this doesn't restrict it to in the wording, it doesn't restrict it to Footmen at least. Warhammer as well. Warhammer has on his 5th skill. So I don't know with Ashoka, what is he going to do? Are you going to put him in like a defensive combo? I don't think he's going to work with, for instance, Bleeding Steed, because Bleeding Steed only has 1 combat skill, which is the 5th skill, and it's the 50% for the confusion. There are other heroes as well, like I think Skander has got a couple of combat skills that trigger quite regularly, high percentage skills, so maybe you could do that. So I'm not sure right now. To me, I don't think, for instance, for those of you that are looking at potentially like, could you be already replacing Aslan in that Aslan healer or Aslan Reaver healer combo? Aslan on that skill 2, he is doing 250% damage every time he gets hit. So that is a lot of damage. I don't see Ashoka potentially doing more than that because of these restrictions with his cooldown. Could he work in a defensive combo? Potentially. Like I say, would he work in like a Ashoka Skander or Pepin / Warhammer type combo, or Army Breaker? Because Army Breaker's like, got healing and debuffs and everything. Maybe those kind of heroes, maybe it'll work like that. Or you could do like a Ashoka, Pepin, Valkyrie if you wanted a bit more offense on the back row. But obviously I'm not sure how OP Valkyrie really is these days, and will it make that much difference? How much this, how many times is this going to trigger this 8th skill? 5. I mean, are you going to get 25 combat skills in a battle? Maybe. So you could get a decent amount of healing, 70,000 say, but that's still not like top level healing either. There's plenty of heroes that you see doing more than that. So I'm not sure about him right now. I think he could be one of these heroes that you're going to see in the future, that he will synergize better with maybe an SX15 or SX16 hero. I mean, in my mind, because they've put this element of cooldown twice on his skills, I think surely there will be a hero that's going to have some kind of element that reduces this cooldown for him, and then he would really be a high-level hero. So that's Ashoka. Let's go across to Eselfred. Now, Lord of the Mercians. Well, Eselfred is clearly a lady of the Mercians. Mercia was part of ancient England, in the Midlands of the country, and obviously I'm from England. There was an Ethelthred and and then another male king. So I think they've kind of mixed up the wording, the names. That's not the right spelling for it, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with that, whether they change it or it's meant to be this Eselfred. She's a ranged archer hero, so yet again we only just had Belisarius in SX12, and now we've got another ranged archer again. So let's see what Eselfred is doing for us. Of course, skill 1 is the usual dictator, 23,100 troops. Skill 2, thunder and heavy arrows, combat skill, effective range of 5, targets 3 random enemy squads. Now look at very high chance, 90% chance to deal 272% damage. Now that's 816%. So that's a high chance to do a decent amount of damage to all the enemy squads. However, then again, it has this negative to it. After the skill is cast, the chance to cast it will drop by 20% for the subsequent time. Now, this makes me think that, and it doesn't say this is stackable, so it makes me think that, say if this activates on round 1, which it more or less will because it's 90% chance, right? On round 2, it'll only have a 70% chance to activate, but then it increases back up to 90% on turn 3. That's my reading of the skill. Maybe if you have a different thinking behind it, please do put a comment in the comment section down below. But I can't believe, obviously, it can't be that it stacks minus 20, because by the time you get to, well, turn 2 would be 70, turn 3 would be 50, turn 4 would be only 30%, and then turn 5 it wouldn't activate. So there's no way that they're going to do a hero where the skill just isn't going to activate for half the battle, in my mind. Let's have a look at skill 3 and 4. Yes, the extra 50% resistance. Yes, the extra 50% might. Skill 5, fortified line of attack, combat skill, effective range of 4. 2 random enemy squads, 60% chance to deal 303% damage. So a total of 606% damage, because it's to 2 random enemy squads within the valid range, and make their combat speed minus 40. If Eselfred casts this skill ahead of any enemy squads, the skill will deal 240% more damage. So, if she casts this skill first, she would potentially do 543% damage. Is it likely that you're going to get the extra damage against 2 of your enemy squads? I would say it's highly unlikely if you're up against cavalry, because there's loads of heroes that do extra combat speed. Lawman, Army, Rosen, lots and lots. And particularly like heroes like Lawman that are on front row, you're getting 100, 120% extra. If you're up against a Rosen combo, Rosen buffs the combat speed of her fellow squads in the first 3 rounds. So maybe, could you put Eselfred on a middle row in an archer's combo? The only thing, in terms of archers, Belisarius does steal 40% combat skip speed from, I think, 2 opponents. So, and then gives it to himself. Would that help? It could. You would end up with a differential of 80, but I don't know. I'm not sure, and I think really you might only find that the extra damage is dealt to, like, say, 1 squad. So if you were up against cavalry, you might find, say, Lawman went first, and then Eselfred would go, and she would target. If she targeted Lawman, and if she's on the back row, she would be just targeting the front and middle rows of the opponent. Then you would just get the standard 303% damage, and to the front row. And then the middle row, if it was a cavalry hero that didn't have like a combat speed buff, for instance, then you would get the extra damage. So I'm not sure how good this skill is, to be honest. Skill 6, again, this is the issue with her. She doesn't have additional combat speed for herself on skill 6. It's only the extra damage, 15% damage, that you often see from a ranged hero. And skill 7 is the extra might. Skill 8, Lord of the Mercians, it's a prep skill, so again, activating pre-battle. This is effective range of 5 again. Every time Eselfred casts a combat skill, this is why I'm sure this should be she, has a 65% chance to deal 522% damage to 1 random enemy squad within the valid range. So that's, again, a decent amount of damage, and it's every time she casts a combat skill. So is that 65%? Is this limited? So if it says every time, so potentially this could be triggering twice per round if her other 2 skills activate. And don't forget, her first skill is probably 90 to 70%. So that does synergize nicely. And then this is still a 60% as well. So you could see this 8th skill triggering quite a lot of the time in the battle. In theory, once or twice a round, and it's going to damage 1 random enemy squad within the range. And so I'm sure that should be her squad, ignores 40% base resistance of the enemy while dealing damage in the first 3 rounds. Now, that makes me think that you're going to want to pair her with, for me, she seems to be like a very complementary hero to go with Sakura and Rosen. Obviously, Sakura does all that extra damage in the first 3 rounds. Rosen is giving extra basic attacks. She's increasing combat speed in the first 3 rounds. So that's my kind of thinking looking at this hero. Surely she's going to have to work with Rosen and most likely Sakura on the front row. I can't think at the moment whether there would be a different hero you could put on the front row. Don't forget as well, you know, you've used that kind of combo before with, say, a serial attack hero like Ranger, who has benefits in the first 3 rounds, but obviously you couldn't put, I don't think you couldn't put Eselfred with Ranger. Maybe this is supposed to be a replacement almost for Ranger, even though she's an archer hero, if you know what I mean, in this kind of mixed combo. Because Rosen does work well with archers. So that's my thinking right now. Obviously, we'd need to get them in testing and see how they go. So it's all going to be down to like how often this 522 is triggering, and how many times you can get it to trigger in the first 3 rounds to maybe really, you know, hammer away at your opponent in the early stages of the battle. That's what I think she's going to be all about, this hero. The other big question is, are you going to take Rosen out of, say, the Farah-Rosen combo right now? Or, you know, lots of people use Rosen in several other combos as well. So is this going to be a better use for Rosen? I'm not so sure. You know, you're still using Rosen in poison tile combos as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But those are my initial thoughts. Of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts on these 2 heroes as well. Do you think I'm going down the wrong road with why I've described them and how they're going to synergize? Do you think they might synergize with other better heroes, different heroes? Then please do pop your comments in the comment section down below. And if you have liked this video, please do click on that like, and if you could share this video and my channel in your Alliance chat, Province chat, and through Line, WhatsApp, Viber, Discord, whatever you use to communicate with your fellow players in the game, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.